I'm Dan Drake on Visitor Network. With us today is JayBowen, has a fancy title, but is really the development director at the hospital. Executive Vice President for Development, I believe, is your title.
Executive Director of the Foundation.
And then Executive Director of the Nantucket Cottage Hospital.
But the fundraiser.
The fundraiser is the key, right?
That's right.
And just very briefly, tell us about your background and what brought you to Nantucket.
Sure. I had spent 20 years in higher education and then went into the animal welfare world in 1994 working for the MSPCA. And I was here during the time we were raising funds and building the veterinary hospital and shelter on Crooked Lane.
That hasn't come back to haunt you yet, has it?
No, it has not.
Good.
In fact, I am a client there with my cat Fresco's receiving her care. But in any event, we were very proud of that project. And they went on to become the president of the Animal Rescue League and left in April of 2012 and took some time off and started a job search, and I had an invitation to come and meet Margot Hartman that fall. And I was so impressed with her vision and what she has carved out for the future that when invited to come, I accepted appointment, and on New Year's Day my cat and I crossed Nantucket Sound to begin a new life.
Good. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So what's happening? What are you gearing up to do?
Well, 4 fronts. One, we continue to build the annual fund. And actually the day I met with Margot in November, she told me about the telephone call she had received from Roy Flanders to provide the challenge grant. And I will tell you, we're getting close to $1 million in annual fund dollars raised for this year, which is pretty extraordinary.
What's that? How's that compare to prior?
All of last year was $644,000, and we'll probably end up at $1.2 million. So Roy's gift was a great gift to the hospital and to the community, and we're very grateful to him. As you know, the planning has been underway for a new facility, and I've been engaged with the board and with Margot in pre-planning for a capital campaign. We're in what we call the quiet phase of the campaign, having discussions with, we call them friends and family. Last evening I was at a gathering of people from the community who have organized themselves for the community phase of the campaign, which will get underway probably in mid-October. And we have a lofty goal ahead of us. Over a 3-year period, we need to raise $75 million. And Massachusetts General Hospital has given us a $10 million challenge grant as part of that 75. And so I'm confident that
2 for 1, 3 for 1,
well,
7 for 1.
It's actually how we want to use it. They want a plan for us to come back and say, okay, here's $10 million. Tell us how you will use this challenge grant to really build the campaign and the momentum. In my mind, we have had some great people step forward and say, yes, I want to be part of this. And we have a lot of conversations that will take place over the summer.
So that's number 2.
Number 3 is the POPs. This is the 17th year of the POPs, and every year we work to make it a bigger and better event. I know that last year Mother Nature intervened and it wasn't so great, but with Matthew Morrison as the star.
He's from what, Glee?
From Glee, Mr. Schuster. And I will tell you, when the word went out on the email that Matthew Morrison was going to be the guest star this year, we were inundated with phone calls, text messages, and emails. But it's a wonderful tradition for the island. And Melanie Sablehouse is in her 2nd year as chair of the POPs committee. She's brought new people into around the table, the planning table, shall we say. And then the 4th leg, as I like to describe it, of our fundraising program are the people who have made a bequest provision. Every institution is blessed when they have individuals who remember the institution in their final estate plan. We've decided to formalize it, and we are creating the 1911 Society. The group will be convened for the first time in the fall. And I'm really delighted that Susie Lister-Locke, who is a great friend of Nantucket Cottage Hospital, has come forward, and she's designing a pendant that will be presented to every member of the 1911 Society when they're inducted. That's an opportunity for the hospital to build its endowment. And so we will be moving forward with that. I'm having a great time. The foundation team, the people who've been in place there for some years now, they're gifted fundraisers. Very committed to the mission, and I consider myself honored to be one of their colleagues.
One of the questions that came up, 2 or 3 years ago was the the issue of the hospital's financial stability,
Sure.
as you know, and the losses were significant. That's been turned around pretty much, has it not?
Completely
Yeah.
turned around. It's a tribute to the senior management and the board of trustees that really got down, began drilling down, looking at ways to reduce expenses but generate new income. And right now, that's the hospital is in a very strong position. Having said that, prudent management is you watch the bottom line weekly.
Well,
and
I mean,
David,
there's still an operating deficit, presumably, that has to be made up by contributions.
By contributions, that's
and
right.
Income from an endowment and so forth.
in this past year, it was more than made up by contributions. So it's a much healthier situation.
No pun intended.
Right. The bottom line is, though, you want to be able to have an organization that can sustain itself through revenue so that you can use annual fund contributions to enhance program. And that's the long-term goal. And that always, unless the donor otherwise specifies, bequest income should go into your endowment. And so we will continue to build the endowment while we carry out a capital campaign and build the annual fund. It's a tall order, but one that's achievable.
You've been with a variety of different types of organizations in different fields over your career: education, animal welfare, now human health care.
That's right.
And what are the differences in fundraising, the nuances of fundraising for those different...
In education, you have natural constituencies. You have alumni, you have parents of alumni and grandparents. In animal welfare, you're looking at a cause-related organization. People believe in the cause. In a situation like Nantucket Cottage Hospital, you have a community. You have people who are affected day in and day out by the institution. So while there are similarities to all three fundraising programs, there are distinctions. And I think that all organizations, whether you're in the realm of higher education, cause-related, or community service, you have to be good stewards of the funds that are entrusted to you, responsible corporate citizens, and really always be reporting to your investors. One of the things that we did this year was we published a first-time document, Report to Our Donors, Spring 2013. And it was our way of reaching out to everybody who contributed, whether it be $1 or $1 million. Here's how your funds were used in the past year.
It's interesting. I was involved many, many years ago in a corporate foundation giving money for health care in New York City.
Okay.
And at that point, giving to hospitals was truly pouring money down a rat hole. Because at that point, hospitals had no idea where they spent their money, how they spent their money, or really where the money came from. And I think there's been a big sea change in that, caused in part by pressure from insurers and the government and so forth, but in part by just a realization of the need for good management practices.
Well, I was, part of my career was from 1987 to 92, I was part of the Harvard Faculty of Medicine when we conducted a capital campaign, the third campaign for the third century. And what we found then is that donors have expectations, important expectations. They want to know, how are you using my dollars? So all the affiliated institutions stepped up to the plate and they said, we are responsible stewards. But it has been a sea change, and it will continue to be.
What is the most important element of your message that you're trying to get out to the Nantucket community at this point?
This campaign, this building project, needs to be owned by everybody. Yesterday, when I was meeting with a group of residents, I said the day the door opens, people from all walks of life need to cross the threshold and say, this is our hospital. And because it's going to require a broad-based community effort to make it happen. And that's the message.
That's the message. Well, it's a good message, and we wish you well with your
Thank you.
campaign. Jay Bowen from the Nantucket Cottage Hospital, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.